Giants baseball. Told straight. You're listening to NorCal Sports Network. No homers, no casuals. Just truth. Let's go!
All right, everybody, welcome on in. NorCal Sports Network, a little Late Innings live. The bottom of the eighth, and the Giants are putting it on the Padres this afternoon, 9-1. And welcome into the show. Joe Schmo joins the show. Welcome on in, Joe. All right, guys, we're just getting going. It's, Late Innings Live, our new show that we'll be introducing at the beginning of the regular season. And, we are going live this year when the game gets tight. Today, not too much going on. It's 9-1. We'll talk about some of the stuff, but some of the standouts. And if you see by the actual thumbnail, I've got Grant McCray in there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Grant McCray and what I'm seeing out of him. This is welcome to Sunday afternoon. And we did this last Sunday, and then the following day we announced that this is something we're going to be doing this year in our fourth full season covering the Giants. And you know where to come to get real baseball talk. This is we set the standard here. We're not ones that how do you say it? We make things happen, others follow. So that's the way it is here, but that's the way it goes. So we appreciate you being in here. New Gigantes jerseys leaked. Okay, I haven't seen those. NCSL, NCSTL. Okay, there we go. We got Calvin Jefferson says, I don't care if it's practice. You learn how to effing win, as the guy that does the podcast, Will Clark says. There we go. Yeah. Hey, Matthew. Good to see you, man. Anyway, we're just going to do a quick show today. I want to talk a lot about Grant McCray and what I'm seeing. I think Grant McCray is making a push for the fourth or fifth outfielder spot. Drew Gilbert, who looked like maybe the favorite to go in, they're going to carry another lefty. They're not going to. The bench is right-handed, okay? Koss and Schmidt are right-handed. Matos and Encarnacion are right-handed. You're going to have a left-handed guy in the outfield that is on the bench. You can't have an all right-handed bench. So I expect a lefty to make the club, and whether that's Drew Gilbert or a Grant McCray or a Will Brennan, but Gilbert right now is not even able to throw for a week. I heard John Miller say this afternoon he's got a shoulder impingement or something that's going to set him back. In the meantime, hey, Deloading, what's up, man? Good to see you. What I'm seeing out of Grant McCray is some plate discipline. Today, he went the opposite field with 2 strikes, drove in a run, and then stole second base. He almost got picked off right after he was running on the very first pitch after he got the hit, which is, I like the aggressiveness of that. But the first baseman dropped the ball, and then a few pitches later, they threw over for the second time. And then after the second attempt to try to pick him off or keep him close, whatever, he promptly, the next pitch, stole second. And I love that aggressiveness. I really want to see the Giants take advantage, especially when the pitcher is out of engagements or disengagements, I guess, if he throws over. Now, he could throw over a third time, but if he doesn't pick him off, it's a balk and he gets second base. So I like the idea of McCray. And hey, look, I said this today in Twitter. In fact, let me pull that Twitter up without bringing up the actual highlight. Let me see if I can do that for you guys here. Just bring up the wording here. Let me see. Let me pull this up here. Okay, give me 1 second here, and I'll spread this out. I'm going to not show the game because we get dinged by YouTube for any kind of highlights. So let me just pull up my tweet. I said an excellent at bat by Grant McCray. He's making excellent strides this season at the plate with much better plate discipline. I'm watching the game here outside. 9-1 Giants, bottom of the 8th. They got 2 outs, men on first and third. Excellent strides this season at the plate, much better plate discipline. He may be the most talented player in the entire organization. If you look at his skill set, the guy's got power, he's got speed, he's got a rocket for an arm. He's a great fielder. The biggest thing is he doesn't make contact, but he's making a strong case for making the opening day roster as the 4th or 5th outfielder. McCray's biggest problem has been plate discipline and making consistent contact. There's a fly ball to right field coming in. The right fielder makes the catch, and that ends the bottom of the 8th. So Giants are up 9-1. They'll go on to win this game unless something crazy happens. But getting back to this, in this at bat, I'm not going to show it, but he went with the pitch on a 2-strike account, and then after the second pickoff attempt, promptly stole second base. I said if McCray continues to show good plate discipline and make consistent contact this spring, don't be shocked if he's on the opening day roster. Okay, that's what I'm let me take that down. Okay, so I see a lot of stuff about Barracuda, guys. Yeah, I'm loving what Barracuda is doing. Giants base run, all these base hits, etc. Hopefully they carry into the regular season. Yeah. Barracuda, guys, is not going to make the opening day roster. If he does, that is not a good sign if he makes the opening day roster. Why? Because that means there's a lot of injuries to the outfield. He's way down on the depth chart. He's not ahead of Matos. He's not ahead of Encarnacion. He's not ahead of McCray. He's probably definitely not ahead of Gilbert. And he's not going to be ahead of even Will Brennan. So if Barracuda makes the roster, you got a lot of right-handers that are hurt. Like that would mean Ramos, Bader, Matos, all those guys are out. So I think I don't see him making the roster with, at all, but he will be in AAA and he could make it up at some point in the season. I think he hits 30 home runs down in Sacramento. The PCL, the ball flies, the altitude's pretty big, high altitude in New Mexico, in Reno, Sacramento, still the ball flies. So I think Barracuda will have a pretty good year at the plate with power. So I'm really liking what the Giants are, the guys are doing. I do like another guy that, Caleb Killian pitched today, his 3rd outing of the spring. And I believe he's only allowed 1 base runner on a base hit in 3 outings. He's throwing 98. I think he looks like a shot to make the club. So the bullpen is open, so I think there's all kinds of possibilities when it comes to the bullpen. So let me just do a little homework here. 1 second while all right, 1 out here in the top of the ninth. Sorry. If this was a regular game, I would be giving you guys more talk about what's going on, more play-by-play. But this is a 9-1 thrashing, and the Giants have, hey, they're playing Tony Vitello ball, right? They're going out to win. As Tony Vitello said, he's told the club, this is a war. You go out to war, you go out to win. So let me get to some of the comments in the chat. Deloading says Harar and Fitzgerald are cooked. Yeah, Fitzgerald, he looks lost at the plate. I don't see him making the club. I don't see Harar making the club either personally, and I would not keep Harar over Matos in any case. If I'm cutting Mato, if the decision, there's a swing foul back. If there's a decision, if it came down to Encarnacion and Matos and they said, okay, we're keeping only one of these guys, there's no way I'm letting Matos, a 24-year-old who has the potential, he just hasn't been given a full run. I'm not getting rid of Matos at 24. The guy won Player of the Week 2 years ago, was 16 or in RBI in 1 week. In 1 week, guys. Matos doesn't strike out a lot. Encarnacion does, about 30% for a career. Matos, on the other hand, is like 14.1% strikeout, less than half of what Encarnacion is. You want to send up a pinch hitter? Usually you're sending up a pinch hitter because you need a hit. You need a hit. You need a key hit. And unless you're down 3 runs and you're 2 outs and there's 2 men on and you're thinking you need that 3-run homer, that's the only thing Encarnacion may give you. I mean, over Matos is he gives you a little bit more chance for a homer. Deloading also says Bailey being a beast with the ABS system is hilarious. Consider we all thought it would screw him. He's pretty awesome at it. Yeah. He can also do it reverse on guys. Yeah. So I today the ABS, we're looking at like 5 challenges by the Giants, and I think they've had 4 successes. So pretty good. Also a little nice play by Bryce Eldridge and Matt Chapman. Chapman knocked down a 100-mile per hour grounder that he played in front of him, which is great. Took a kind of a rough hop off of his chest. Still had time to there's a swing and a miss for the second out in the dirt, and they throw him out at first. I think this is Matt Vierling maybe pitching. Vierling is this Matt Vierling? He's got some major league experience. No, that's the same. I'm thinking of Vierling with the Detroit Tigers, the hitter. I don't know this particular Vierling. So anyway, maybe one of you guys knows who it might be. There's a strike in there. First pitch, 0-1. We're down to the last out of the game. But anyway, getting back to this play by Chapman, he was able to pick it up quickly, throw across the diamond, and the ball was a good throw, but Bryce Eldridge, there's the ball game, popped out to first, game over. Giants win 9-1. So, but Bryce Eldridge made a nice stretch on the play as the ball was toward the right field side of the bag, and he reached over. Now, 6'7", I got to tell you, when I'm a former infielder, shortstop, played a little bit of third, played a little bit of second, but primarily short, and then center field played. But when you're in that hole or long throw from third, there's nothing like seeing a big, tall body over there as a target. And I'm telling you, Bryce Eldridge gives you a great target to throw to, because you can, your throw doesn't have to be perfect. It could be, you can put it up in the air without trying to hop it over there. And, if it's a little high, Eldridge can go up and get it. If it's off the bag, he's got long enough legs to stretch. So I think Bryce Eldridge is going to improve to the point where he becomes the everyday first baseman at some point in his career, whether that's next year. I think the plan this year is to give Devers as much play at first, 120 plus games. But keep in mind, Devers has a hamstring strain, which is nothing this early in the spring. But as he ages, and Eldridge is only 21, I think Devers converts at some point to become an everyday DH instead of, Devers is only 28, going to be 29, but he does have some issues. He had some back issues. So last year, I think Eldridge eventually will become the predominant first baseman. But I think this year, the lion's share goes to Devers at first, but we'll see. We'll see. Injuries can change everything. Matthew says, do we know if Eldridge is going to make the team? No, we don't. It's, I put it the other day, maybe at 50-50. I'm not so sure where it is right now. But yeah, and same. We've been talking about that. That's the key. I've been talking about McCray's playing his way on. Oh, he says onto the Rockies opening day roster. I think he might make the Giants opening day roster as the fourth or fifth outfielder simply because Drew Gilbert can't even throw a baseball for another week. We're 24 days away from opening day. So that gives Gilbert a couple of weeks before. And, McCray's showing himself to be a guy who's improving. Hey, Don Peralta, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you in here. Got baited into that. Yeah, I did. I saw Grant McCray playing and I opened it up. That's pretty funny. How do I like Patrick Bailey? Perfect in challenging balls and strikes. I thought this was going to work against him because of his framing. I don't know of any. I guess some people have said that. I think the question that I had is we'll see, right? We'll wait and see how it plays out. I think Bailey will be fine back there. So what do you guys think? This club, I don't even know what their record is right now. What are they, like 6-2 or something along those lines in spring? Again, there's no titles in spring, but you just want to play good. You're playing a game. You might as well go out and play it to win it, learn how to win. We saw last year that the club started out pretty good, and it was at one point 10, 12 games over 500, and then Matt Chapman missed some time. And I do think that Matt Chapman, although he's not, a top hitter, he's a threat in the lineup, and he plays excellent third base, and he does hover right around that 800 OPS. So he has some production, and he is kind of the team leader, in my opinion. He's not the most vocal, but I would say that Chapman is the leader of this team. And I would say that with him going down last year, they started losing ball games. And so I have come out and said, I did a video. You can go check the video out. I think Chapman may be the X factor for the Giants this year. I really do believe that. I think Matt Chapman has a quiet year of production, that he quietly helps this team this year offensively. He's only had 80 RBI one time in his big league career, and that was 2019. I am on record in that video saying I think Chapman reaches 80 RBI this year. And that would be only the second time in his career. I do think the best spot in the order for Chapman is either 6th, 7th, or batting second. I don't want to see Matt Chapman bat cleanup this year. I really don't even want to see him in the 5th hole. I think it puts too much pressure on him to create RBIs and with runners on scoring position. And Chapman tends to try too hard, I think. And I think without a lot of pressure on him, I think Chapman down in the sixth hole or even batting second, much better than batting fourth or even fifth. I think fourth and fifth are the two spots that I would say, let's not put Chapman in those two spots. Put him somewhere else. Yeah, Hiroku, I agree. Chapman goes the opposite way a lot in spring training, and he hits well during spring training. And I'm not sure why. I was listening to the ball game. I'm going to take this out right now. I'm not sure exactly why Chapman, once the regular season starts, he stops going the opposite direction. He's got power to right. If he uses the field and he uses the whole field and he goes the opposite way, Matt Chapman could have a very productive year and help this ball club offensively. Yeah, Kyle, he's never been a big RBI guy. 91 RBIs once in 2019, the year he had 36 home runs for the Oakland A's. But I do think he can hit 80 RBIs. Look, you got a Rafael Devers in the middle of that order. Devers is going to be batting second or third, most likely, all season long. And I think a full season, if Devers is healthy, is going to help the rest of the club. The addition of Luis Arraez gives you a whole different type of hitter on this club, which is going to help the club quite a bit. Matthew says he likes Chapman 6 or 7, probably 7. Second might be relying on his offense a bit too much for me. I'd rather be in a situation where his home runs are a bonus and not something the lineup has to rely on. Yeah, I can see that. I have often said 7th is the number 1 spot for him. I really do think and that has proven his stats show that he's best batting second or 7th in his career. That's his best batting average numbers. And, but, we'll see. And I think the season will work itself out a little bit more. And they show Chapman not to be batting in that 4 hole. But hold on one second here. Let me check my phone here. Okay, we're good. All right. Making sure I didn't have any messages. But yeah, guys, we bring you a little spring action. Let me check one other thing here and see if I've got any word on anything yet here from the Giants. Nope, I don't. Okay, waiting to hear from the director of media relations there. So I would say, guys, that, the Giants lineup is going to be better top to bottom this year. The key is going to be pitching. I like the Tyler Mahle sounding. If you recall, when he was signed, a lot of people who understand the game understand Mahle's a pretty good pitcher. His problem has just been durability. He's been injured a lot, but he's a good pitcher. So I think what you see with this starting rotation, if the rotation stays healthy, the Giants are going to be in the playoff race all year long. And again, it goes back to health. I mean, and look, we all know the Dodgers are the team to beat, not just for the National League West, but they're also the team to beat probably for the World Championship, right? But let me tell you, sports has a way of just catching up with you. You see the Chiefs a couple years ago, they won the Super Bowl back-to-back years. And then a little over a year ago, Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs got throttled by the Philadelphia Eagles. They were trying to three-peat. They couldn't three-peat. The Warriors back in the 19 season were going through for a three-peat, but Klay Thompson and then KD both went down in the playoffs, and the three-peat was basically taken from them. They would have definitely a healthy Golden State Warriors team with okay, I think I'm back. I guess the signal, I don't know, I've noticed a lot of StreamYard issues with not just this show right now, but I've noticed it with some other shows. But yeah, I was saying that KD and Klay Thompson in their primes, there's no way Toronto would have won that series. Absolutely no way. The Warriors would have three-peated. But my point is, doing a three-peat in sports is hard. So I would question. I almost, if there's a bet out there that says taking the Dodgers or the field, I might take the field this year, even though the Dodgers, look, Blake Snell is going to start the season on the IL. He's not even throwing right now. He's got to start throwing first at like 60 feet, then 90 feet, or 90 feet, then 120, whatever. They'll stretch him out. So I'm going to, as crazy as this sounds, guys, it would not shock me completely. Now I'm picking the Dodgers, okay? I'm picking the Dodgers to win the National League West, but it wouldn't shock me if in a wild world the Padres or even the Giants stepped in and knocked them off and won 92 games and the Dodgers only won like 90 or 91, something like that, okay? Are the Giants going to win the division? No, I don't think they do, but I'm telling you my prediction right now. I haven't made my final prediction. I'll do that the last few days of spring training, but I'm telling you right now, the Giants face the Dodgers the last weekend of the season in San Francisco. My prediction here on March 1st, 2026 is those three games I don't know if all three games, but going into that Friday night game, the last series, I believe the Giants will not be eliminated from the playoffs. I think it's going to be that close for them to make it. Maybe they're already in, or maybe they're hoping to get in. But I'm telling you, the last three games, in my opinion, the Giants will not be eliminated from playoff contention. And I've got them. Oh, I see deloading just popped in. It's got them winning over 87 games. Right now, I've got them between 85 and 88. So I'm in that same range. And if the Giants are in this at the trade deadline, they will add. Buster Posey will add. And whether that becomes a reliever, another starter, it depends on where the Giants' needs are at. But I do think this club is going to be much more enjoyable to watch. I think who wins the WBC? Insane says, okay, let me get to that question. I'll finish this thought and I'll get to that. I do think the team's going to be more entertaining to watch. They're going to hit better. They're going to do better in situations. I do think Tony Vitello is going to have these guys prepared to play. Does that mean that they're going to be world beaters? No. Does that mean they won't look awful at times and have a bad stretch or two during the season where they lose 5 games plus in a row, and that happens a couple times? Yeah, that's probably going to happen. That's just the way Major League Baseball goes, especially when you're not an elite team. But I do believe they will be more engaged, more ready to play, more energetic. I don't think when the Giants go through a rough patch that Tony Vitello is just going to sit back and say nothing and just say, well, that's the way it goes. We may not hear everything that happens inside that clubhouse, but I guarantee you Tony Vitello is not going to sit back like Bob Melvin did and at a press conference and just shrug his shoulders and say, what are you going to do? That's the way it goes, So, yeah, that is the key, Mark Gravy. Pray for good health. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fitzgerald in jeopardy. Johnny, or is that that's Rob Hyman. Okay, I thought that was Johnny Cesari. Fitzgerald in jeopardy. I don't think he's in jeopardy. I don't think he has a chance to make the team unless there's significant injuries to his position. To me, Tyler Fitzgerald is a guy that I put out yesterday, or maybe it was Friday. He looks lost to me at the plate. He was facing a lefty with no outs with bases loaded on Friday against the Dodgers and struck out, swung at 2 pitches, and then had a check swing for a strike 3. 40-man roster jeopardy. Okay, yes. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think so. I think he's a guy that could be expendable if they need roster spots. Yeah, because you got so many guys that are like him, and then you got guys behind him that are coming up that are going to be better. But, you got Casey Schmidt and Christian Koss. You even got Parks Harbor, who can play a corner position, play a little outfield. You got to be able to hit to stay alive. You got to be able to hit. And Fitzgerald has a 30% lifetime K rate. You can't strike out 30% of the time. He had that one stretch, right, where he was Barry Bonds, right, hitting how many home runs and 10 home runs in a couple of weeks or whatever it was. Home runs in, I don't know how many consecutive games, 6 or something, 7. I can't even remember what it was 2 years ago. But, the league's figured him out. They get a book on a guy, and they figure him out. Casey Schmidt, a much, much better player all around, better infielder, better hitter. I think the Giants are, with Casey Schmidt as your super utility guy that can play all around the infield, and then you got Koss, and then whoever is the outfield guys. I think they're in really good shape there. Casey Schmidt's a really good guy to have coming off the bench. He can spell Chapman. He could spell Arise. He could step in at first base. He can play a little short if you need to in a pinch. And I think if Casey's healthy, I think he can hit. I think he hits the ball hard. He hits the ball definitely hard, harder than probably 80% of the hitters on the team. Let's see. Koss is beating out Schmidt right now. I don't see that. I really don't see that. I think Casey's the first guy off. If an infielder goes down, I think Casey's the guy. Koss is a good player to have, but I don't see him beating out Schmidt. Schmidt had a couple of good hits today, a double and a single, stole a base, was part of a double play ball. Yeah. And you're going to see a lot more of Casey playing the rest of the spring because Luis Ariz is gone now to the World Baseball Classic. The Giants outfield is all leaving. That is Ramos, Bader, and Lee. They're all playing in the World Baseball Classic. I'm trying to think if anybody else is playing in the Classic. Not sure. Yeah. Now, if you want to talk about the the backups, or I shouldn't say the backups, but the bullpen. The bullpen, I mentioned Caleb Killian earlier in the show. He's looking good. 3 outings. Furman's looking good. In fact, I think I can pull up for you guys the statistics for the season for the guys in the pen. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I've got. No, I don't have it now. But Killian has got a 0 ERA, only allowed, like I said, 1 hit all year long. Brubaker was pretty solid today. He 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 3 Ks. Logan Webb, 3 innings, 2 hits. Just gave up the run in the first. Logan Webb today threw 38 pitches. Okay. So he'll have 1 or 2 starts before the WBC officially starts in meaningful games. So I would anticipate Webb, his next start, going maybe 50 pitches. I think he's got 1 more start somewhere around the 6th or 7th of this month, and then he will pitch the first game. His first game will probably be game 3 of the WBC, which will probably be somewhere around the 12th, 13th of March. And in that game, he'll probably have a pitch count of 60 to 65 pitches. So Webb is ramping up. And we did a show on the other night. We talked about his Logan Webb, an ace. And I think the consensus is that he is an ace in baseball. He's just not your A+. He's not your top ace. If you put together an A+, that would be Skeens and Skubal. And then if you had an A, you might be looking at guys like Christopher Sanchez, and I'm just trying to think of a couple other guys out there. But then your A list, A-, I think Logan Webb falls into that A-. I think he's definitely a top 10 major league pitcher. I would have Webb somewhere between 8 and 10 as a starter. He does all the things you like. He goes deep into games. He's striking out guys more. The biggest thing Webb is he gives up a lot of hits, and he doesn't walk a lot of guys. But if he gives up a lot of hits in an inning, you can put together a rally where you can get a crooked number on him. So I think that's the difference of Webb, is he does show more strikeout ability. Last year, he was just under 10 Ks per 9. I think it was 9.74, something like that. So, he's striking out a little over 1 an inning. So you like to see that. But, the key for the Giants this year is going to be solid defense. And I think as long as Arise is in the lineup and he's playing solid defense at second, not hurting the team, I think you're going to see him probably play a lot of second. The moment Arise becomes a defensive liability like Marco Luciano was a couple years ago, and it's over the course of 5 games, and he may have really, it's evident that Arise has cost you 3 or 4 games, because not just physical errors, but because he's not getting to balls that a normal second baseman would get to. That's when I see them possibly making a change. But again, I looked at Arise this year in drills, and he looks quicker to me. He looks like he's more motivated to me. I do think he'll be okay. I do think he's going to be at least average at second base this year. Ramos, breakout year. He's another guy that I have as having a big year. I think Ramos comes back, has a better year than he did last year. I like Ramos. I think he doesn't have the pressure on him with the rise in the lineup, with Devers here for a full year, with Bader here. I think it opens the door for Elliot Ramos to have a really big year. Really big year. I'm predicting Elliot Ramos to have over 80 RBIs. I think he hits 25 homers, and I think he hits somewhere in the neighborhood of 260, 265, Elliot Ramos, and I think he plays a better left field than he did last year, which was really a rough year for him. Let's see, guys. I want to... Let me see. Just reading something here and going through something. Hold on one sec. All right. Just going through a couple things here in the chat. One sec. All right. Just trying to catch up here. Doing a solo today. All right. Hockey. Will Smith ties it up 1-1. Very good. Yeah, the Sharks are starting to sell out now, that's how you do it. You know, you build a winning team. You build it from the ground up. You know, if you guys really think about this, how did the Warriors win their championships? They did it through draft and development. It was Curry. It was Thompson. It was Green. It was the big three, right? And then they added guys like Iguodala and then KD. But they were built around their 3 draft picks. And if you want to throw in some other draft picks that were in there, their first title with Festus Ezeli at center was a big help. Muted. Am I muted? Am I muted, guys? Can you hear me? Let me know. I see muted. I don't know what we're talking about. Let me know. I'd hate to be talking to myself, thinking I'm talking to you guys. It looks like my mic's on. Okay, no. All right. Thank you. My wife just brought me some water. I needed that. But the Warriors won their title, guys. Their championships on the backs of their homegrown talent. Same with the Giants. The Giants won their 3 World Series on the backs of homegrown talent. It was Posey. It was Crawford. It was Pablo. It was Lincecum, Mad Bum, and Kane, and Belt, and Panic. And I mentioned Crawford. Okay. That was the nucleus, and then you add a little bit around it. Same with the 49ers when they made it to their Super Bowls. It was primarily their draft picks. Okay. That's the way you do it in sports. With the Sharks, they're going to do it the same way. And I think the Giants are on the right path. I really do. I think the path that they're on is they've got a window of an opportunity right now in the next 2 years with Chapman, Adames, and Devers and Webb. Maybe 3 years, 26, 27. Hopefully there's baseball in 28 with these guys. And they've got to add the right pieces, but they've got people coming up. You know, you've got Eldridge. You're going to have guys coming up, Bo Davidson, whether Dakota Jordan makes it or not. Then you've got guys like Joshar Gonzalez and Jesus Hernandez and guys that are going to be coming, and Bresnahan and down in, pitching, and a couple of other guys. I think that's where the Giants' future lies. Now, does this mean that we're stuck with 500 baseball until these guys come up and then they take a little dip and then they go? No, I don't think so. I think this team that Buster has quietly put together is going to be a better than 500 system. I really do, guys. You can hear other people or listen to other people. Everybody's got their own takes, but some are just, like to blow wind, right? And make statements for shock, right? I've heard some people say that the Giants, they think they're going to start out their first 31 games at 10-21. Well, I challenged that, but they ignored it. I said, I'll bet you, I'll even give you 3 games and say 13 games. You can get 13. They'll win at least 13 and be 13-18. And no, not going to take me up on that. So I don't think the Giants, guys, just because they're playing the Yankees and they're going to be playing the Phillies 6 games in that first 31, and they're going to be playing the Mets. The schedule for the Giants, let's just take a quick peek at it here, shall we? I've got it right in front of me. They play the Yankees for 3, then they go to San Diego for 3, home for the Mets for 4, then the Phillies at home for 3, then they go on the road to Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Washington, 3 games apiece at those teams, and then they're home for the Dodgers for 3, and then Miami for 3, and then they finish their final 3 of the 31 against the Phillies in Philadelphia. Look, wouldn't shock me one bit if the Giants were right around the 500 mark in those first 31 games. Why do I say that? Because number one, if they're healthy, their pitching is fresh, and it's not nearly as bad as people think it is. People are discounting like the Giants have no pitching after Webb and Ray. Well, Roop's no slouch, and Hauser and Molly, I think, are better than Roop. And I think Molly is a very good pitcher if he's healthy. And he looked good yesterday. Dom Peralta says, I think they can come out of the first 30 games at 500. Yeah, I agree, Dom. I agree. I think they very much can. Is Roop going to be healthy? We're not sure. He's healthy right now, it sounds like. But if he's not, I look for Trevor McDonald or Tidwell, Blake Tidwell to step into that role. I think McDonald and Tidwell are going to be fine, guys. And I really think this team is a little more talented than people give it credit for. But then again, some of those people that are making those comments, I don't think, I don't know. Everybody's going to have their own take, right? And that's what makes sports interesting. So I think this Giants team is going to be playing well coming out of the chute. Hold on here. I'm getting warm in this room. I notice it's warm here in Phoenix. It's in the Phoenix area. It's 90 plus degrees. I'm going to turn my AC down. I can do that right there with my little app right there. See that? Had it at 78, but I'm going to turn it down to 76. Look at that. It's 90. It's 92 degrees outside right now. Can you guys see that? 92. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah. So, let's see. Looking here at the chat. Yeah, Warriors. It's a rough situation. I see some chat in there about the Warriors. Yeah, it's they've been hard. They're really hard to watch. In fact, they're pretty much unwatchable in my opinion without Steph right now. I didn't even watch last night's game against the Lakers. I said that's going to be a blowout. I said Lakers will beat them by 20 in that. What did they end up beating them by 30 or something? Yeah. So it's rough. And I put out a tweet the other day. I want to show you guys something. Let me ask you guys something here when it comes to now, when I say I'm done with the NBA, I kind of mean it. I let me pull up this. I want to show you guys something that absolutely just irritates me. All right. I said the NBA has lost me. I can't watch this blatant BS traveling not once but twice with no calls, and then Doncic is rewarded with a foul call. What a joke. Give me Major League Baseball and National Hockey League, the two best officiated leagues. I'm replacing the NBA with the NHL permanently. Okay, I want to show you guys a little bit of what. Watch this. This traveling. Hold on here. Watch Doncic pick up his pivot foot at the top of the circle here above the 3-point line. Stops right there. Then he moves back. Traveling. Traveling. Now watch this. Does it again. Hops. Traveling. How do you? And then he gets the foul call. Look at this. Watch this, how bad this is. Travel. Pivot, double, he jump stop, double pivot. No, he's got no pivot. He jump stop. And he moves both pivot feet. Unreal. So I don't understand this. How you allow, look at this guy. He just hops back and it's just I don't get it. I don't get it. To me, it's just I can't watch that. I can't watch that. Why can't I watch it? Because when I watch college basketball, it's more, even then it's just it's a joke that they allow that type of guys to just take both pivot feet and back up, and then I don't know. You're saying what was that the ball was bobbled? Let me see that. Let me watch that again. Let me see. I'm watching it myself here. Oh, I see. Deflected. Yeah, I see. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, but he definitely walked on the second trip. But yeah, these guys, but they do get away with that kind of walking all the time. Yeah. George Curry says, back to baseball, I would bet that Buster will make a deal if he identifies a disgruntled player like Devers who wants to be traded and can pay 10 cents on the dollar in prospects if Johnson allows the deal. Hey, how about would you guys take now they do have a situation where they've got too many first basemen and too many DHs. But Bryce Harper is a guy that may be starting to get a little disgruntled in Philadelphia. Would you take a Bryce Harper and then what do you do? I mean, I think it's too many first basemen / DHs. The Giants have two of those guys right now that really have no other place to play in the field but first base, and that's Eldridge and Devers. That's why I say Encarnacion is I see, too late for Bryce, couple guys. Yeah, I think it probably is too. And he's still got several years to go on that contract. See what's out there, right? There could be some players out there. Hey, I don't think it's out of the question that the Giants still couldn't trade for a Joe Ryan during this season at some point. Minnesota's going to be awful. In fact, let me just point to the hats right here on the wall. Oops. Somebody fell down. Cleveland. Hold on. Cleveland, the hat fell down on the floor there, guys. Cleveland, the sticky fell off. The sticky fell off the wall. There it is. See the sticky up there? Okay. But see the socks? See, I may do a show. I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe I put something together where I do the hats. And I do my predictions. Here's how I think. Let me just show you the hats here. I think Toronto can repeat in the National League East. It's going to be tough. I think Boston's going to be, it wouldn't shock me to see the Yankees finish in fourth place. It really wouldn't. I could see Toronto, Boston, and the Orioles ahead of the Yankees. But all four of them could make the playoffs, possibly. You could have 3 wild cards come out of the American League East. I think the American League Central is the Tigers' division to lose. I think Detroit wins that division. I think Kansas City finishes second this year. I think Cleveland finishes third. And here's my crazy pick, guys. I think the White Sox finish above the Twins in fourth place. I think the Twins lose 100 games this year. I think the Twins are in trouble. I think Joe Ryan gets traded by the trade deadline. And I think Seattle wins the American League West. I think Texas and the A's are battling it out for second and third. Houston's going to be third or fourth. The Angels, they're awful. They might be the worst organization in baseball right now. In the National League East, I think the Braves bounce back and win that division. They do have some injuries they're already dealing with pitching, but I think the Braves bounce back. I think the Mets finish in second. I think the Phillies finish in third. Wouldn't shock me to see the Phillies miss the playoffs this year. I think it's Miami in fourth, and Washington's going to be maybe the worst team in baseball. They're going to be fifth. I think it's the Dodgers that win the division in the National League West. I think the Giants have a shot. I'm going to pick the Giants right now. I may change it, but I think the Giants got a legit shot for second place. And they're going to battle it with the Padres. I think Arizona finishes fourth. And Colorado will be better this year, but they're still going to take up the bottom. They're going to be fifth. That's what I got going right now. But I look for 100-loss teams this year. I think we have 3 100-loss teams in baseball this year. And I think it's going to be 2 in the American League and 1 in the National League. Oh, the Pirates are about ready to fall. Hold on. Let me fix that. All right. I think your 100-loss teams this year are going to be the Minnesota Twins, the Washington Nationals, and the LA Angels. I think the Angels are going to be a 100-loss team. Right at it. Yeah. So those are going to be, in my opinion, the 3 worst teams in baseball. I think Colorado improves, and maybe Colorado wins 65 games this year and finishes like 65 and 97. Okay. Yeah. Buxton. Yeah. Buxton's a guy that's not happy in Minnesota too. He's not happy that they were talking about trading him. He thought he was in, no trade. Okay. He's got the Rocks at 70 and 92. I think the Rocks are going to be a better team. I don't think they're a 100-loss team anymore. The White Sox, I think they're going to lose in the 90s, but I don't think they're a 100-loss team anymore, the White Sox. I think they're improving. Kyle. Have the Dodgers going to second. Okay. Hey, it's possible. It's very possible. Look, like I said, the Dodgers, it's tough to three-peat, and there's a possibility that some of their vets have some soft tissue injuries. Guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy. Some of these guys get older. They're not available for the full season. They're not as productive, and they win 91 games. And someone like the Giants has a great year and win 92 games, and it comes down to the last game of the season between the Giants and the Dodgers. And the Giants, I mean, am I saying the Giants are going to win the division? No. I think there's a very small chance that the Giants win the division. I think there's a very, very small chance that the Dodgers do not win the division. But I'm telling you, their run is they're getting older, and they're not invincible. Get a couple injuries to that pitching staff. Look, Snell's not starting the year. Glasnow's injury prone. Who knows what happens with Yamamoto? Ohtani's back, so that helps them. But Ohtani's going to need to pitch on every sixth day, right? He's not going to be. If they go with a 5-man rotation and they pitch Ohtani every fifth day instead of every sixth day, what he's used to, I think they're crazy doing that after he's had already 2 Tommy Johns. So that's going to make – how does that starting staff go? You got Emmett Sheehan, who will probably be in there. Look, just saying, I don't think the Dodgers are shoo-ins at all to win the World Series. In fact, I might even bet against them to make the World Series this year. Wouldn't shock me to see Atlanta bounce back. So, but hey, guys, we've been going an hour. I'm going to end this show. We'll be back Tuesday night. Remember, we're the pioneers of coming live, and, there'll be imitators out there, which is great. Hey, YouTube's open. It's a big world. It just always cracks me up how I make a move, and then there we go. Other moves are made to combat, but we all know where to come, right? For real baseball talk. As I say, I've been following the Giants since 1968. Look, this is the show to get your Giants information, to hear from Giants players, Giants management, and I'm waiting to make a big announcement soon, but it hasn't been official yet. So I'll wait until that official announcement is made to let everybody know what's coming soon, hopefully, to NorCal Sports Network. And this will be a major, major announcement if everything comes to play as it's already been communicated with me. We're just working on the final details of it, and that will be huge. You won't want to miss that if everything comes down. So I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll be back Tuesday night. Maybe I'll do a video. Oh, yes. Thanks, Mark. We do need to do a fantasy baseball update, guys. We've got about 4 or 5 openings in each league. If you guys want to get into the league, we've got to put this together here and get this going here in the next week. I want to so email me, guys. It's a fun time to play. We've got a league for $100. It's a roto league, rotisserie league, where we play categories. And then we have a points league. Email me for fantasy baseball. Tell me, hey, I want to be in the $200 points league. Look, it's a lot of fun. If you want to join both, like I'll be in both, right? Let me know. So email me, NorCal Sports Network. I got to get above the sign here. How do I do that? There we go. Let me lower the camera. There we go. That's a lot of orange on there. I got my orange G-shirt. I got orange here. I got orange. Man, too much orange on the screen right now. So email me at NorCal Sports Network. Let me know, guys. You want to get in this fantasy baseball league. You will enjoy it. It's open to anybody. And I think you'll have a lot of fun. So final words on McCray. Yeah, let's end with Grant McCray. Right now, all right, here's my prediction on March 1st, 2026. I think McCray is in the opening day lineup. Opening day roster. Take that back. Scratch. Cut to. I think Grant McCray is on the 26-man opening day roster. I think Gilbert being injured a little bit, there's a setback. The fact that he can't throw a ball for a week, that could turn into 2 weeks. So I'm saying Grant McCray. Don't know how long he stays up on the big league roster, but I like how he's looking in spring. I think he's the most complete athletic player as far as athleticism, not baseball hitting wise. He hasn't got there yet, but I think he's making strides and worked on plate discipline, and he's got a great arm, great speed, great defense. He's got power. Now he just has to hit the ball and not try to hit it for power. Let the power take care of itself. And I think McCray can be a guy that would be fun to watch. So crazy prediction. I think just based on what I'm seeing of him this camp, based on what I'm seeing out of Gilbert, the fact that he's hurt, and they're going to want another lefty. They can't have all right-handed bench. You just can't. You got to have somebody that bats left-handed to come off the bench at a certain point. And I think Grant McCray is the guy. That's just my shot. So, yes, Matthew, you need to join our league, man. Step up, Matthew. Come on in and join the NorCal Sports Fantasy Baseball League. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So get your email in to NorCal Sports Network at Gmail for Fantasy Baseball 2026. 2 leagues, Points League, Roto League. So as the music plays, let me turn that down just a hair. I don't know if that's too loud as I talk over it. There we go. All right. Let me take a look at the comments. Matthew says, I'm thinking about it. Got to save up some funds first. I get you, Matthew. Look, I understand a lot of people, it's tough right now for a lot of people, so don't worry about it. But if you're able to join, we'd love to have you. I'm looking here through the chat. Good to see Dom in here. William Shire, Dice Boy, NC, STL, _1, Matthew, J. Ken, Mark Gravy Graves, as always, Kyle McKiernan, Dom Peralta, the man. Hey, Dom, I might have something for you. I need for some merch. What else we got in here? All right, guys. Hey, make sure you like this and subscribe. Make sure you go hit that like button on the way out. Would really appreciate it. It does help the video get pushed out more. So do me a favor, hit that like button, and we'll see you on Tuesday night. And look for a video, hopefully coming out sometime tomorrow. All right? Appreciate you guys. NorCal Sports Network, the leader when it comes to San Francisco Giants baseball and post-game shows for the last 3 years. That's right, 3 years. We're entering our 4th year. This year, we'll be coming live in the late innings when the game gets tight and then go right into the post-game. So appreciate you guys being here. Take care, everybody. Catch you on the next video or live stream. Have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. Take care.